What are we smoking today, Jack?
On the list today, we've got the Monte Cristo Habana.
Is it legal?
It's legal here. It's that legal.
Monte Cristo, it's a nice smoke for sure. What I've been trying to do is, like, whenever I'm making a little video or a little anything, what I've been trying to do is keep it short and sweet, and like have a few, like only like 3, 4, maybe 5 different like little points, because the way that I operate, like, it's just too easy for me to go on
off a tangent,
huge rants.
Yeah.
And I try to like I say, like, let me keep this 10 minutes long, and literally 47 minutes later I'm like, that didn't work.
Still saying about what you're going to talk about.
It's good to kind of like meditate on a few points in particular. And one thing that we've always kind of mixed it up on is how challenging it is to do your own thing.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things. Yeah, it's one of the things to touch on is, and also keeping yourself motivated when you do get into the position of doing your own thing.
And that's something that a lot of people have been struggling with. And by a lot of people, I mean literally everybody.
Yeah.
Like, just staying motivated.
Staying motivated, yeah, in what you were doing, but also I think I've noticed a massive common thing at the moment is people questioning what they were doing before quarantine. And the people who felt like they were on their right path and they were doing what they want to do, and then all of a sudden, 3-4 months away from that, 3-4 months to yourself, to question what you're doing, starts bringing up all this thing. So actually, I can do other things, or is this what I want to do? Is this the path that I really want to be on? And
change.
It's definitely pushed people into wanting change, like, because
and forced people into a lot of change, whether they were planning on it or open to it or not. Like, people are finding themselves just forced to adapt, and I mean, I think I know I can definitely relate to that, because COVID definitely punched me straight in the face.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that happened to a lot of people that were just totally, the whole world was not prepared for this stuff.
Nobody was. I mean,
the economy.
We all saw something happening. We all could tell something was going on. The world was going to shit, but a pandemic this year was something completely out of the question. Like, you know, especially as over the years, I mean, speaking out of my personal opinion, we've had so many different pandemics. There's always something, and it's always like a fear-mongering tactic in some sort of way. This time they've really gone in on it, and it's something that's affected the world from top to bottom.
The whole world. So, Paul and Fury says, internal motivation is so much more important to build because external factors are constantly changing.
Could agree more. Couldn't agree more. I think you have to start within, because the second that you start blaming the external factors, you're just going to get stuck in this cycle of always looking for something else to blame. And that blame can come from motivating, it can come from anything really, but that self-motivation is so important, because every single external scenario, everything like that is like he said here, it's always changing. But one thing that isn't is you. And sort of, you know, a lot of things that I've been reading recently is everything points back to starting with yourself. Everything. Every decision that you make, everything that you do, the way that you react to certain situations, and everything is down to how you react to that situation, and then that in turn creates.
That's all you can control.
Yeah, exactly.
Is yourself.
Exactly.
Self-knowledge is the most important thing on Earth, because that's all you can control.
Yeah, for sure. Because then without that, people like to think they can control the external factors, and there's definitely ones that you can control. You know, for example, if you're not feeling motivated in a certain workspace,
there's probably a reason for it.
Yeah,
and it could be because your priorities are
Priorities could be, you could have other things to focus on in that sort of time. You could, like I say, like a real trivial sort of thing could be the space that you're working in isn't motivating you, so you feel like you need to make a change. But again, that is starting with
external
yourself.
or internal.
External factors can be controlled. There are certain external factors that can be controlled, but I guess in a roundabout way it does swing back to yourself, because if you know in yourself you're not motivated in a certain area, let's say for example the most relatable scenario we can all sort of speak about is the working in an office, working in your space, for me being in a shop, and all of a sudden quarantine coming in and you're locked inside and you've got to try and find motivation to work in a space where there's many distractions. You've got to get up out of bed, and I'm sure we all did it, I know you did as well. You got up and you got yourself ready for the day, even though you didn't have anywhere to go and you didn't have a real reason to work. You still got up, showered, put a suit on, and then got to work.
How's that smoke?
Smoke's alright.
It's
first run for a year, and it's hitting me nice. Yeah. Relaxing. But motivation's a funny one. I think that I've noticed that there's phases of, and it's all speaking from my own personal opinions. There's times when I'm feeling more motivated than other times, and I'm sure we can all relate to that. One thing that I do more so is I beat myself up in the moments that I'm not feeling motivated, and then I don't take advantage and motivate my sort of give myself props and give myself positivity when I am feeling motivated. So it's actually focusing more.
Why do you think that is?
I guess it's just more easy to self-bully, isn't it? It's like so much more in us to sort of criticise ourselves. So when I'm not feeling motivated, I'll focus so much more on that and think, I should be feeling motivated.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of cycle. But it's actually what I've come to terms with, is the fact that if I'm not feeling motivated at certain times or with certain things, it's not criticising myself for that too much. Also, not blaming anybody else, but looking at it and saying, okay, this is how I'm feeling now, so let's not put any pressure on myself, not make myself feel worse, but just acknowledge that now is not a motivational time, but one will come. It's never a constant flow of motivation and passion and everything.
I think it all comes down to like priorities. In the sense that there is a lot of judgment that goes around where people, you said it, number one, people judge themselves all the time.
We're our own worst enemy, always. People,
and especially because of social media, especially because people are always comparing what other people are doing. And one huge problem is that we're most of our human relations are done through a screen, a bright screen. And that's why I feel like it's important to like sit down, have a smoke, because
straight up and just speak with each other. Like you say, you can't gauge. I mean, I know I've fallen accustomed to it. Is I see somebody doing a certain thing and I get very envious of that, and I think, oh well, I wish I was doing that. I want to be doing this, because all you're seeing is that singular moment of their life where they're doing this positive thing.
The FOMO.
The FOMO, and also the distraction from what you're doing with your life. I've noticed that massively, is that by viewing what other people are doing and seeing other people's successes, I think it's a massively positive thing, and you need to do it to give you motivation. But what you shouldn't do is then take for granted what you're achieving and what you're doing, and putting all of your focus on what somebody else is doing, because usually what you're doing is incredible in itself.
What about the people that need a kick in the ass, though? Like, and they're and this is something I brought up yesterday, and I did a little poll, because of something that Rhea said. The poll was whether or not, it was an open question about whether whether I am or you are surrounding yourself with people that are lifting you up and like causing you to get to success, with an asterisk, because success is can only be defined by you. So success
100%.
doesn't necessarily mean money
Wealth.
or whatever. Like people have the idea of success all messed up, because because it means happiness, but happiness is something that you pursue.
Success also to me sounds like an end goal, and the problem with that can be at what point is success? What point do you say I have succeeded and I no longer need to succeed anymore?
I think success is a process.
It's
not a destination, it's a process.
Yeah.
And I think in order to be successful, you have to have a few ingredients. Like, you get to define success, and you get to cook, if I can use the analogy. You get the idea of, I want to cook a cake, or I want to cook a steak, or I want to cook this or that, and that's your definition of success. But you know that in order to cook a cake, you're gonna have to have a few ingredients. You're gonna have to use some salt and some this and that. What I'm saying is, like, the ingredients are, I think, this is my hot take. Take it for what you will. But, like, I think in order to be successful, you do need to have accountability, but that starts at home. You need to have self-accountability.
Yeah.
Furthermore, I think that it's important to surround yourself with like-minded people, not people that always agree with you, because that's not accountability, and
no, you don't grow in that respect either, do you?
No, but just people that are going to help you get to the next level.
So, weirdly, I've read 2 books recently that both say very different things, but are trying to sing from the same hymn sheet. And it's talking about negative people and how you surround yourself with those negative people. And there's a type of negative person that you shouldn't hang yourself around with. And that type of negative person is somebody who doesn't take accountability for their actions, is always looking to blame somebody else, always looking to blame the exterior because it's always somebody else's fault. Now, that type of person will only drag you down with them, and it's a very, very hard thing to do, because sometimes these people can be extremely close to us. They could be relatives.
It could be direct relatives.
It could be direct relatives.
It could be best friends.
Yeah, exactly. And it can do that, and it's tough when that happens, because you get to a certain point in your life where you feel like, you might not even realise it, but that you're having to look after that person because of their negativity, and because you're a positive person. You get affected by their negativity a lot more than their positivity affects them. So they're going to be dragging you down, and all you want to do as a positive person is try and drag that negative person up. You're always thinking about that person and what you can help, how you can help them, what you can do to get them on your level, when actually, if they're not, they're not. That being said, there's also a thin line between that and only being friends with somebody to utilise their positive aspects. So I wouldn't, for example, want to just be friends with you because I think that we're gonna get lots of views on live videos. I want to be friends with you because I feel like I can connect with you. We've got things that we've got the same morals and values, but with that we also meet in the middle in the respect that we're both very positive minded, forward thinking, and trying to succeed, and we use that to benefit each other. But you don't look at each individual as like an asset, as it were. You don't look at them and think, what can I utilise? Exactly.
Just using
exactly. But it's recognising when negativity is bad.
That gets into empathy, and I think that, and I was thinking this the other day about how sometimes doing the right thing, it can cause consequences that aren't exactly enjoyable, insofar as, like, sometimes it hurts to do the right thing, and by the right thing I mean, like, if you know that there's nothing good coming from this or that.
Yeah.
It's not just people, it's like you know,
I guess it's the idea of having to take 2 steps back in order to take 1 forward.
It's just
sometimes.
choices.
It's just, yeah.
And so growth I guess I'm going off in the deep end, and I'm
It's not like you.
Right, exactly. And you know, since we're like, if we're gonna go there, let's just go there. What I'm saying is like growth oftentimes is painful. Like there's growing pains to becoming a better person, and I think that what is it? Is it in Buddhism that says life is essentially like pain?
Yeah. You have to. Yeah, we have to learn to suffer. We have to suffer in order to feel gratitude, happiness, compassion, all of that.
And on that note, like it's all. Jordan Peterson said, "Life isn't a game; it's a series of games."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that going on where it's really just a matter of choices, like and opportunity cost, to use an economic term. If you're doing one thing, you can't do another thing.
Right.
And you have to sacrifice whatever you're not doing for what you are doing.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you don't even recognise those sacrifices happening as well. They just sort of naturally occur because you're putting effort into other things. So you might look back and be like, God, that was I haven't met up with this person, for example, in months. Didn't even think about it. Why is that? Because you've both been focusing on your careers or your paths, and that's just the way things go. Everything's always changing, and change is inevitable. We're going back to your point with sort of with Buddhism and the life being a struggle. When you see people's success and we compare ourselves to other people's success, we are always seeing, we're not even seeing the end of their journey, but we're seeing a point in their journey where they have succeeded, but they've only got to that point because of their failures. I wish there was some sort of way that we could see the most successful people on Instagram, if they had their own separate Instagram with all their biggest failures, because it would be a lot more beneficial to us to be able to see that it takes failure and it takes all of this to be successful. It just does. You have to experience so much, unless of course you're very, very lucky. But
I don't think anybody can avoid failure altogether.
the only people that don't make mistakes are in the graveyard, and that's as simple as it is. We all make mistakes.
Damn.
And
that's deep.
And it's facts, because we do all make mistakes, and some people are scared to make mistakes. I think that's very understandable. It's very understandable, but there's a balance, because you need to sometimes delve into something with the intention of potentially failing, because once you come to terms with that, nothing comes as a surprise, really. It can be quickly forgotten about. But I think onto the sort of it's that jealousy and that envy that comes from viewing people's success that has a negative outlook on the way you do things.
It does.
But I think, like, weirdly with social media, like, even though it's a bad thing in terms of I mean, there's a negative that comes out of comparing yourself to others and having a lot more people to compare yourself to, and constantly seeing people progress and change, always every day. We go back 10, 12 years ago, and that just wasn't the thing. Like, all you could compare yourself to was the celebrities. You could have a role model of some sort. You compare yourself to your parents, your grandparents, your best friends and their parents. It was all very close encountered. So everyone's dreams and goals were, I'm not going to say smaller, but they definitely had less options, because the rise of social media and the rise of being able to compare and see what other people are doing all over the world has meant that we're also able to have our own minds opened, and we're able to see that there is a bigger world out there and a lot more opportunities than we might have thought there was initially 10, 12 years ago. That's why I think it's a long process with social media before it's got to a point where people can view it and take it healthfully and positively. We're on the very, very, very early stages of social media, of technology, of anything like that. Like, we're in early stages. We're going to be looked at in...
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, and we'll be looked at in 100 years' time and say this was the generation that first saw social media, first saw the World Wide Web and everything like that. Smoky. And they're gonna look at us as absolute primates compared to how they're going to be with it. And I mean, obviously that's the idea. You get educated, and we
pioneers.
We are literally pioneers. We're the guinea pigs as well. We're being experimented on with this, and I'm seeing a huge rise in like mental health problems and all of this sort of stuff. There's a huge rise in all of it because this is information overload generation.
Yeah.
Like, it's mad, but it's about sort of looking out for each other and trying to guide each other through it. And like you say, with that positivity and that encouragement and pushing each other and helping out each other, it just makes an already stressful world a lot easier.
I saw a cool tweet the other day from this guy on Money Twitter, which is a thing apparently. I didn't know Money Twitter was a thing, but it is. Yeah. And it was like, I have this superpower of being able to disagree with someone without disrespecting them.
Yeah.
And it does, you know, just because you have a disagreement doesn't mean that that you necessarily need to disrespect the person. Like, I'm just saying this. I'm saying, it seems to me like we do need to kind of be a little bit less quick to judge, a little bit less quick to pile on, and I think we need to at least have value for rational debate, which allows for disagreement.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest problem with social media, in the respect that it's given everybody a platform to act as if they are very knowledgeable in subjects, if they are key debaters. And there's a skill to debating, there's a skill to sort of having a conversation with somebody if you're both disagreeing on it. It just turns into a cat fight otherwise.
For example, I know you and I, of course we don't agree on everything.
Yeah, of course.
Of course we don't agree on everything for a number of reasons, because A, we come from different cultures.
Yeah.
B,
different experiences.
If you agree with everything that someone has to say, then there's something wrong. Because
you're not speaking for yourself, are you?
Yeah, like, we're all unique individuals, so it'd be kind of weird if you agreed with somebody on everything. But I like how we can still be friends and like you know.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's because we're able to speak honestly with each other and understand that we are just two people with two different views. Right or wrong is out the question.
Word.
There's certain things that people are a lot more passionate about with right or wrong, and I think like one of the topics obviously at the moment, the big topic with being the Black Lives Matter movement, is that there isn't, I guess even me saying that, but I do stand by the fact that I believe that there should only be a positive outlook on this, and it should only be used in a positive way to help grow the movement. But even something as something that shouldn't be an opinion, like race, people still have an opinion on, and there's always going to be divide with people, always. But I think that
I find that having conversations, I just think it's super important to have conversations, and I find that the conversations that you have in your communities, I just think that it's important to have conversations in your communities with different people, and let's talk business. What is up with like coming back after you had to shut down for what, like 3 months?
March 20th to July 4th.
March
20th to July.
April, May, June, July. So
3.5 months. Yeah,
wow.
Pretty much. And I mean, obviously coming back, it's been very different. Social distancing, face masks, hand sanitizer. It's you know, being a coffee shop, it's been no sitting in, all taken away, no rewashable cups, it's all disposable.
Did they shut the skateboard park down?
They closed the skate park during quarantine.
How come you have to use disposable cups and other places don't?
Don't you know? I did think that when I had this. Gonna have to re-look into that.
Yeah, because I've noticed that. But
But yeah, it's different, but it's different for everyone. And that's the thing. It's everyone's changing together, so it definitely feels less surreal. What feels more surreal is what life was like 3-4 months ago. The idea of having 20-30 people in the shop all hanging around and hugging and it just seems like a lifetime away now. So it's like, moving forward, business has changed massively. One of the biggest problems has been manufacturers being shut.
Right.
Because again, same as hate, it all filters through and it all comes from the top to the bottom. Every single person was affected by this, and you know, you can see for face value the places that we go into as customers, cafes and stuff, but then their manufacturers have been shut. So it's
caused new challenges amongst the like supply chain and everything.
Yeah, challenges that I've never even had to worry about before. You know,
I've felt that too.
Like equipment that you could usually just get without even questioning it. And then all of a sudden we're having to wait a couple of weeks for it to arrive, and the price has gone up, and it's all massively changed. Yeah, supply and demand's obviously always, and this has been a huge.
Felt as a small business, because you run a really super cool little skate coffee shop. I really like the setup.
Same.
And I don't even skate, but I do like the coffee, of course.
Good.
But as a very small business, have you felt a huge amount of support from your community? Because you do have a really cool community.
The community's been insane, and actually that's one positive to come out of isolation and quarantine is that the economy, well, the general public are a lot more aware of how important the independent small guys are for the economy. Because these big guys can make money. Like, you look at places like Primark, they were shut for 4 months, and second their doors opened.
Starbucks is like closed permanently?
Really?
Did you not know that?
No. Well, is it they're not opening any more stores? Or they're...
Just in right here, they're closed.
The one on the high street?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Like you said, there is a positive in that hopefully people are going to appreciate
the small independent businesses.
Absolutely.
For sure, and I think I've seen it already. You know, one thing the government did amazingly well during the whole thing was look after the small guys. Well, from top to bottom, they did make sure that people were looked after, and that the businesses didn't have to close their doors.
Let me give a shout out to my mom's real quick.
Yeah, shout out Mumsy.
She runs a little jalapeno and habanero jam making product. She makes homemade jalapeno jam and habanero jam and mango habanero jam.
You're gonna bring some of that down here when you come, please. That sounds amazing.
I'll bring some over.
That sounds good.
It's not sold here yet, but she sells it. She sells it locally to local businesses and whatnot.
Sick.
I got her plugged into Amazon because it's cool how people can have it, you know, sent to their door in 1 day or 2 days.
For sure.
And that's what I think is interesting. Like, I think it's really cool how small businesses that make certain products can leverage e-commerce and still stay true to their small business soul.
Roots. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's the other thing. It's that, you know,
so shout out Mum.
Yeah, shout out Mum for doing your thing. It's brilliant. And I want to try that jam.
It's good.
Sounds amazing.
It's real
Sounds
good.
a bit of me, jalapenos.
Yeah, and we're gonna do a giveaway soon. Like we're about to announce this. I guess I'll go ahead and announce it. We're doing a giveaway of my mom's jam over at the Re-Up page at Re-Up Sales. One way or another, you got to give people value.
And you got to respect people. I think one thing that I've always respected as a business owner is that the people who spend their money with me are spending their money that they've worked for.
Respect.
These people they've spent hours and minutes and days out of their lives to earn the money, and then they're coming to me to spend it to buy themselves stuff. So I'll always be hugely grateful, and feel like the customer deserves a lot, really. Because I do have to shoot, don't I?
Do you have to shoot in a minute?
Hell yeah.
So,
more talks, more life.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming through.
Appreciate you having me. I do indeed. This is a nice place you've got here. Shout out the watchers as well. Thank you. No, thank you.
Hell yeah, dude.